News Central now at this hour begins with labor matters, where President Bola Tinubu will meet with organized labor leaders to discuss a new minimum wage for Nigerian workers. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, stated that the Federal Executive Council discussed the new wage issue on Monday. According to the minister, Tinubu will finalize his decision after consulting labor leaders on Thursday and will then send it to the National Assembly. He adds that Minister of Budget and National Planning, Atiku Abagudu, has been directed to propose an amendment to the 2024 Appropriation Act last Thursday. Tinubu met with NLC President Joe Ajero and TUC President Festus Osifo last week. The president urged realistic expectations regarding the minimum wage, considering proposals of 62,000 naira from the government and private sector and 250,000 naira from labor. The current minimum wage is 30,000 naira. The Nigerian Senate has reassured Nigerians of its commitment to collaborate with the government in an effort to implement meaningful economic policies that address the current challenges facing the country. Chairman of the Senate Committee of Finance, Senator Sani Musa, gave the assurance during an emergency meeting with the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Head of NNPCL and the FIRS. Senator Sani Musa said the objectives was to address current status of the economy, employ viable solutions to the problems and support what the present administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing to improve the economy. Senator Sani Musa said the main concern of the committee in the oil and gas sector was financing than revenue generation. The federal government says it has dispatched 20 trucks of rice to each of the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. It said the new move is part of measures to ease the economic burden of Nigerians. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, disclosed this to State House correspondents at the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja on Monday. Idris said each state has received truckloads of rice, each containing 1,200 bags of 25-kilogram rice for onward distribution to most vulnerable persons and families. The minister noted that state governments are expected to distribute the commodity to bring down the current hardship in the country.
That the federal government has promised Nigerians. The Federal Executive Council has directed the Committee on CNG to expedite its activities to supply buses, to also make it possible for the conversion kits to be available to most Nigerians. Already they have started, but the Federal Executive Council directed that they should double their effort so that the conversion kits that we need for the CNG to operate will be made available. Also, the conversion centers that had earlier been approved will also be significantly be upgraded so that Nigerians will have more conversion centers, more conversion kits. The compliance level of CNG the federal government has directed need to go up so as to reduce our over-reliance on PMS, and this will in turn also aid our energy transition from fossil fuel.
The federal government has repatriated 190 Nigerians from the United Arab Emirates. In a statement signed by the Director, North Central Zone, Alhaji Bashir Idris Gerga, on behalf of the DG NEMA, Zubaida Umar, said the returnees arrived at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja at 5:45 a.m. local time on Tuesday. He adds that they were received by the team of government officials led by the National Emergency Management Agency. The returnees were profiled and documented by relevant agencies and advised to conduct themselves with decorum and responsibility. The government urged all Nigerians to act as exemplary ambassadors, upholding the values of patriotism, rule of law, decency, and integrity. Nigeria's federal government says that it has concluded plans to disburse a $10 million grant secured from the World Bank's Innovation Grant Facility for different vocational and technical skills acquisition programs across the country. This was made known as the Federal Ministry of Education and the World Bank concluded its selection process of 78 technical and vocational professionals expected to implement the training programs. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
It's yet another government initiative to combat poverty and unemployment in Nigeria. This time, it's the World Bank's Innovation Grant Facility expected to be disbursed to these successful entrepreneurs who went through a thorough selection process by the Innovation and Effectiveness in Acquisition of Skills project, also known as IDEAS, under the supervision of the Federal Ministry of Education.
It took the Ministry of Education, hard work, the World Bank, sacrifices of so many persons for this program to come to be. And I want to use this opportunity to plead with each and every one of us that this is an opportunity for the Nigerian child to learn a skill, to acquire a skill. And you are the instrument, you are the tool that will help the Nigerian child to acquire this tool.
Do what we can. A lot of people in the last, I can train 10,000, I can train 20,000. And when it came to the training, we are seeing 100, we are seeing 156. Fantastic, do what you can do. If you don't tell us you can train 5,000 and then you train 5,000, some of you even train the training modality. The training modality is physical. If you train virtually, you're not meeting the criteria and you will not get the next tranche.
This training session unveiled the rules of engagement in the utilization of the grant, which the federal government and the World Bank say will be strictly monitored.
This is a loan to the government from the bank that is now given to you as a grant, a very huge risk. Very huge risk. And then you are expected to utilize that to train young Nigerians to the extent that they will be able to get employment. So your work starts from enrollment of these young people to job placements.
When we talk about innovation, every aspect of the, in Nigeria or everywhere now, without technology, they will not have any innovation. So we are using the technical or the innovation in digital innovation to create or to teach the youths.
The innovation facility was designed to promote the acquisition of these critical skills that we need now in this digital era, so that youths are empowered and trained. So the entire IDEAS project, the project has several components, and the innovation grant is just a component with about covering about $10 million is being designated for this innovation grant facility.
A total of 51,100 trainees are expected to benefit from the program, which will last for 1 year. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for that report. Now let's head to the courts, as we understand that the Kano State High Court has issued a restraining order against Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero, and 4 other emirs from Reno, Gaya, Bichi, and Karaye, preventing them from parading as emirs. Delivering the judgment on Monday, Justice Amina Adamu Aliyu further restrained the 15th Emir of Kano and 4 other dethroned Emir's servants, privies, and any other person appointed by them. The case was filed by the Attorney General of Kano State, the Speaker, and the Kano State House of Assembly, represented by Counsel Ibrahim Isa Wengida on May 27th. Justice Adamu Aliyu affirmed the legislative powers of the Kano State House of Assembly and the authority of the state governor to assent to the bills. The court ordered the emirs to surrender all properties of the Kano State Emirate Council to the state government and criticized the conduct of the police and security agencies involved. A legal practitioner, Towo Oserowaja, was on the news earlier and shared his thoughts on this.
You discovered that my lord was so intensive when he restates the powers of the State House of Assembly and that of the governor in respect of the law in question. So by virtue of that, the issue of Ado Bayero becoming or still the Emir of Kano has been laid to rest because the State High Court has jurisdiction to entertain such a matter, and the court has held that the Kano State House of Assembly, alongside the Kano State governor who have assented to the bill, and the said bill are valid. So we only, as it stands now, we only have one Emirate Council in Kano State, which is the Kano Emirate Council, and we have the Emir, which is Sanusi, Mohammed Sanusi, who is the current Emir of Kano State.
Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff has expressed concerns over the release of foreigners arrested by the military for alleged involvement in illegal mining by the nation's political elites. The defense chief made this known in Abuja during an investigative hearing of the House of Representatives Joint Committee on Illegal Mining in the country, saying that there is a need for the government to demonstrate political by strengthening the security of the nation's borders and empowering agencies saddled with the responsibility of fighting illegal mining activities. Idong Joseph reports.
According to experts, a large chunk of Nigeria's vast resources of solid minerals is stolen by illegal mining cartels. Available estimates claim that 80% of mining activities in Nigeria's northwest region are carried out illegally, with a large portion of untapped mineral deposits also being the root cause of intercommunity violence.
The Parliament is deeply worried about the loss of revenue through unregulated and illicit mining operations, with the federal government disclosing that unlawful mining costs the country a whopping sum of $7 billion each year.
Following the resolution of the House of Representatives on the need to investigate illegal mining activities in the solid mineral sector and find lasting solutions, heads of security agencies and other stakeholders have converged for this purpose.
Because this investigative hearing a priority, especially because many communities with mineral deposits, which should ordinarily be a blessing to them, live in agonizing conditions, economically and socially.
The Chief of Defense Staff, while addressing lawmakers, expressed worry over the alleged involvement of foreign nationals and cartels in the acts.
The involvement of the elite in it, we can't tell. But we know that most of the time, when we catch these foreigners, they will tell us that they have connections. Let me use that word. I don't want to say some things, but sometimes you hand these people over and the next thing you see them released.
The defense chief called for strengthening of institutional frameworks, border security, engagement of mining communities in legal mining operations, and exhibition of political will to ensure illegal miners are punished.
The government to equip properly those involved to checkmate most of this illegal mining.
Security agencies also add that some members of mining host communities are also complicit and call for state and local governments to be given roles to play in the mining sector. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
A group known as the People's Congress have dismissed the resolution by the Martin Amewule-led Rivers Assembly suspending Governor Siminalayi Fubara's expenditures until he represents his budget. President of the group, Dr. Nicholas Udenta, called the action political grandstanding without legal basis. Udenta argued that Amewule and others are no longer assembly members after defecting to the All Progressive Congress. He labeled the resolution an illegal joke, noting that Governor Fubara signed the 800 billion naira budget into law in December 2023 after presenting it to lawmakers led by former Speaker Edison Ehie. Udenta emphasized that the only legitimate Rivers Assembly is led by Honorable Victor Okojumbo and urged the public to disregard the resolution. Residents of Mainok community in Borno State are grappling with unprecedented devastation as torrential rains have led to widespread flooding across the region. Homes have been swept away, leaving many families homeless and in dire need of assistance. News Central's Umari Kirawa brings update on the situation in Mainok community.
About 58 kilometers from Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, to Mainok community, a heavy downpour, which led to the swelling of rivers, flooded Mainok community, causing significant damage to food stores and farmlands, further compounding the plight of the vulnerable community.
Amado hutura tajirwa sirna am crew pitulurin sada kala chidia nas isnaro soro kuen turnare ngalte makalanzo turin andero dorurano kamandie andero tsuru andero futu kiskiaro ala andero bana tsuru kamandie dulu jowalan andero futu from the father somui bulmiano zu iya katidimba biango chichi kamana chi ruyare kamana dadaro nero somge gulia falfallo fara yere injinero somguyen.
Residents are now counting their losses as they begin the clean-up process.
Bana kalarin tezane mayande najera bana manena kumnande zulmen tezane bana manena
gwamnati yayi ko kamna zimbe yayi andiya bana sa nanaptai wandio kumundio so aibidio so ayyana yanda da sama so soronji akatai bawata
awaya jawro da yana go sulo ala baraz ga attima security aje mai so sa leida expanding tari yet sandiro am so da one by one no kamza ko zai na waldu doktor magana la ala to ndi askirina gwamnati waldu su kwalta do no shidi tamazu ya da turobula ya da ala.
With agricultural losses mounting, there are growing concerns about food shortages, which calls for comprehensive support to enable the people to rebuild their lives and regain their footing amidst the ongoing humanitarian crisis.
Muna jajantawa inda wannan abin ya same su kuma da gwamnati ne dan duba inda yanda za a kawo gyaran da zai ƙara kawo mana ci gaba duk da ana yi ba wai ba a yi ba.
The people of Mainok community are hopeful that the government and other well-to-do individuals will put more efforts in addressing this issue for once and for all, as well as addressing their immediate needs. In Mainok for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
The news continues in West Africa, where Ivory Coast has launched its inaugural malaria vaccination campaign targeting children. According to the Ministry of Health, malaria spread by mosquitoes claims 4 lives daily in the country, including 3 children under the age of 5, and is the leading cause of medical consultations. Ivorian Health Minister Pierre Dimba, at an official ceremony, disclosed that this initial vaccination phase targets 250,000 children aged 6 to 23 months.
La région africaine, malheureusement, où se concentrent 94% des cas et 95% des décès, que la charge du paludisme reste la plus lourde. Et les enfants particulièrement vulnérables, chaque année, près d'1 demi-million d'enfants meurent de paludisme en Afrique. En Côte d'Ivoire, bien que le nombre de décès liés au paludisme ait régressé significativement, l'incidence a augmenté dans la population générale, mais aussi chez les enfants de moins de 5 ans.
L'introduction du vaccin antipaludique dans le programme élargi de vaccination de routine représente une avancée majeure dans notre combat. En vaccinant nos enfants de 6 à 23 mois, nous pouvons les protéger contre les formes graves du paludisme et réduire considérablement les décès associés à cette maladie. Cette introduction se déroulera de façon progressive pour atteindre toutes les régions de notre pays. Cette première phase de vaccination concerne 250 000 enfants âgés de 6 à 23 mois.
We now head to Southern Africa, where the Development Bank of Southern Africa says it's ready to partner with Nigerian companies and fund energy projects to help with the energy crisis in the country. South Africa is hosting Africa Energy Colloquium in Cape Town from the 16th to 19th of July, a landmark event that brings together energy experts and representatives from various African countries, including Nigeria, Ghana, Angola, DRC, Egypt, Kenya, Mozambique, Uganda, Zambia, and Zimbabwe to engage in a comprehensive exploration of South Africa's energy capabilities and project opportunities across the continent. Under discussions will be key conversations for collaborating with key players in the energy sector and sharing broad engagement in the sector, including innovations that allow funding of early-stage technology in the energy transition sector, develop alternative green corridors, and partnering with developers and investors to fund renewable energy projects in Africa.
Currently involved in a road project in Nigeria, working with the government of the Republic, the federal government of the Republic of Nigeria. We are looking at other sectors within the infrastructure. We have looked at the energy sector in terms of what we can do in that space. But we are very keen on Nigeria, and we think Nigeria is a market that presents good opportunities for us as an organization. So we are looking forward to engaging with partners from Nigeria in terms of what we can fund in that market within the energy sector, the instruments that we can bring through, be it on a project finance basis, be it on a balance sheet basis. We do have some project preparation instruments that we can also leverage in that market. But we think, given the size of the economy,
To discuss this further, our correspondent Bongani Siziba now joins me for updates. Hello, Bongani. What can you tell us about the energy event?
Good afternoon from Cape Town. It's yet another event where researchers, representatives from different sub-Saharan countries are coming together just to have that another conversation to speak about energy. We know that energy crisis is all over, especially in sub-Saharan countries. Talking of Nigeria, South Africa, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, they all have the challenges of energy. But that conversation is coming to Cape Town, just where delegates are here, starting from today up until the 19th, just to talk about how they can, and also how they can help each other on that sector, in the energy sector. Just to take this conversation further, I am joined by Lebohang Masetu. He is senior underwriter export credit, just to tell us about this event, what is it all about, and what are they bringing to this conversation. Good afternoon.
Hello, Bongani. We can't seem to hear what he's saying. Bongani, can you hear me? We apologize for that, and we'll try to reconnect with her. Now let's move to East Africa, where the US-based Ford Foundation on Tuesday rejected accusations by Kenyan President William Ruto that it was sponsoring anarchy and funding deadly anti-government protests. Earlier on Monday, Ruto criticized the Ford Foundation on Monday, asking a large crowd how they're going to benefit from the money they are giving out to sponsor violence. The East African powerhouse has been plunged into political chaos over the demonstrations, which started out as peaceful rallies led by Gen Z Kenyans against proposed tax hikes, but have spiraled into a wider campaign against Ruto and his administration. Dozens of people have been killed since the protests began a month ago, with the deadliest day on June 25th when angry crowds stormed Parliament and police fired live bullets on protesters. Police are out in force in the center of Kenya's capital on Tuesday after calls for more demonstrations against the embattled government of President Ruto. Activists led by young Gen Z Kenyans launched peaceful rallies a month ago against deeply unpopular tax hikes, but they descended into deadly violence last month, prompting Ruto to drop the planned increases. Since Parliament was invaded and scores of people were slain in late June, street protests have subsided, but activists are still calling for the president's resignation. New demonstrations with the hashtag Ruto must go have been scheduled for today. So we have been able to reconnect with our correspondent in South Africa, Bongani Siziba, who would be joining us once again for an update of the energy inward buying investment mission and the fact that Nigeria is, going to be one of the participants, in this energy program. Hello, Bongani, can you hear me now?
Yes, speak.
The purpose of us being here is to discuss about challenges facing Africa in the energy value chain and also to find financing solutions for those projects that are out there in the African continent. Yeah, so the purpose that ECIC is participating on this conference is because we provide political risk insurance cover and commercial risk insurance cover. And we are here to encourage South African financiers and investors to take equity position in those opportunities that are available in the energy space within the African continent. And we'll be willing to work with them hand in hand by providing political risk cover and commercial risk insurance cover.
As Labour come to us speaking about what this event is about, but this conversation will go on from today up until Friday, where energy experts are here in Cape Town just to discuss, to have a discussion on how they can help each other. We have seen that also the DBS is willing to help countries like Nigeria, Zambia, just to have those funds, those who want those energy projects funds to be funded, to see how as Africa we can move forward, especially in the energy sector.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bongani, and we do hope that, all the countries that were listed that will be participating in this particular conference will have much more to gain. Now, moving away from that, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has scored a crushing victory in the election that will extend his iron-fisted rule by another 5 years, according to partial results issued Monday. The National Election Commission made this known after 79% of ballots had been counted that the de facto leader since the end of the 1994 genocide and president since 2000, Kagame, scored 99.15% of the vote. This tops the 98.79% Kagame won in the last election in 2017 and puts him streets ahead of the only two candidates authorized to run against him. Democratic Green Party candidate Frank Habineza scraped 0.53% of the vote and independent Felipe Mpaimana 0.32%. Local sources say despite a truce between the Democratic Republic of Congo's army and rebels, a bombardment killed 2 children and 2 teenagers on Monday. The humanitarian truce between Kinshasa and the Rwanda-backed M23, announced by the United States on July 5th, was intended to last until July 19th. However, fighting erupted on Friday morning about 70 kilometers northwest of Goma, the North Kivu provincial capital. By Monday, the conflict had reached Beweremana, 15 kilometers west of Goma, where the deadly bombardment occurred. Innocent Mwitehofu Mumbara, a local civil society leader, reported that victims included 2 children from the same family. Beweremana Police Commissioner Pauline Ilunga said a mother and her 4-year-old child were among the wounded, attributing the shelling to M23 rebels. A Libyan airline commercial director has been arrested for allegedly flying illegal migrants intending to enter the United States via Nicaragua, as revealed by the Attorney General's office. The investigation involves Gadamis Air, a private airline accused of organizing flights for hundreds of migrants from East Asia to Nicaragua, violating immigration laws. The commercial director was detained for activities deemed harmful to Libya's interests. The airline reportedly disregarded air carrier obligations, migration legislations, and international treaties. Authorities highlighted the airline's breach of protocol to combat migrant smuggling by land, sea, and air. For staying with us now on World Wrap, former President Donald Trump has been formally nominated to head the Republican presidential ticket in November. This comes less than 48 hours after a gunman shot at Donald Trump during a Pennsylvania rally, a bullet grazing the former president and killing a spectator. Trump also announced his running mate on Truth Social on Monday, tapping the Ohio Senator J.D. Vance as his vice presidential pick. Vance, who once called himself an anti-Trump Republican, has since become a fervent supporter of the former president.
He's very, very smart, loves our country. He is very dedicated. He's been an incredible patriot. He came from nothing in his life and really very, very poor when he was young and came up as in part of the American dream, okay, was able to achieve great things. He has a great vision for America. He's very strong. We feel very, very confident that he would be able to take over as president in 4 years, which is important. If you're going to be a vice president, anything could happen. We love him. He's absolutely just a perfect choice.
For more on this, I'm joined by our international correspondent, Afia Hagen. Hi, Afia. What can you tell us about Trump's pick for his running mate, J.D. Vance?
Well, J.D. Vance was a bit of a surprise pick at 39 years old. A lot of people thought that maybe Trump might go for Nikki Haley. And actually, J.D. Vance, in the hours after the assassination attempt on Trump, blamed the Democrats, which is something that Donald Trump is trying to stay away from. And actually, he has been talking about lowering the temperature and lowering the rhetoric. So J.D. Vance, as we know, he was once a very bitter critic of Donald Trump as well, called him an idiot and reprehensible, compared him to Hitler in a private message on Facebook. He's also someone that really opposes the US's support for Ukraine in its war on Russia. And this is something that will really appeal to a lot of Trump allies who feel the same way. He agrees with Trump's contentions about free trade that have hollowed out Middle America and cost Middle America a lot of jobs. He's from Ohio, he's from modest backgrounds, and it was actually his book Hillbilly Elegy that he released in 2016, where he talks about his humble background and tried to explain why impoverished white Americans like Donald Trump. That's how he came to prominence in 2016 when that was released. Like I said, a bit of a surprise pick. Someone who's going to have to explain how he's gone from quite a staunch Trump critic to someone who's now prepared to stand beside him all the way through this election cycle as his vice president pick. Now he's going to have to convince people that he's had a change of mind and that he is, you know, down from MAGA, MAGA hard, MAGA heavy, and that's what he believes in. And I think he's already managed to do that at the RNC. Whether he'll be able to do that across the electorate is another story.
Well, Afia, talking about the Republican National Convention, it is day 2. What can we expect?
Well, yeah, you're going to have lots more speakers on day 2 of the RNC. Nikki Haley will be one of them taking to the stage tonight. You can expect people to be talking about Trump's heroism, and resilience after that assassination attempt over the weekend. Now, there was whispers yesterday that, of course, we know that Trump has changed his speech, which he'll be given later on this week, but also that he'd ask speakers not to change their speeches too much and not to dial up that rhetoric that we spoke of, not to try and blame the Democrats and to continue these calls for unity. Now, whether they will do that remains to be seen over the next few days. But like I said, Nikki Haley will be taken to the stage tonight and other supporters of Donald Trump.
Okay. Now, President Biden gave an interview, with NBC last night. What were the highlights from it?
Absolutely. President Biden sort of continues his campaign of trying to seem competent after that pretty disastrous debate that he had with Donald Trump at the end of June. He has continued talking about unity, continued talking about the need to come together, but he has to realize that he faces an energized Republican Donald Trump campaign. So he's trying to re-energize himself as well in more ways than one, and saying that, he's only 3 years older than Trump, his mental capacity is as good as it's ever been, saying that millions of Democratic voters selected him in the primaries, and he was also listening to them. He was also quite defensive. He was asked if he was getting back on the horse, after that disastrous debate. And to which he replied, I was never off the horse. I have been there, been at the forefront, and asking the interviewer, where have you been? He also said that the bullseye comment that he made about Trump was a mistake. He told supporters, it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. This was before the assassination attempt, well before that. And he explained that comment away, saying what he meant was to put the focus on him, focus on his policies, and focus on the number of lies he told in the debate. So President Biden and the Democrats are on the back foot at the moment, and they are continuing this campaign of trying to show strength and unity, but they also need to re-energize their campaign as well, the same way that Donald Trump and the Republican campaign has been re-energized by this assassination attempt.
All right, thank you, Afia, for that update. Let's talk business now, where the United Arab Emirates government has finally lifted visa restrictions imposed on Nigerians with immediate effect. Our guests on Business Edge for this conversation mentioned the level of commerce before COVID-19 struck between both nations and the new visa verification payment required to visit UAE by Nigerians above 30 years.
Space. If you look at the figures prior to COVID, so in 2019, there were over 500,000 Nigerians a year who flew between Nigeria and the UAE. That number dropped by over 80% in 2023, despite the fact that a lot of other markets, in fact, most other markets from Nigeria had recovered. So, there's about 400,000 plus passengers a year who used to be traveling between Nigeria and the UAE who just stopped traveling. So, once again, reintroducing visas, even though the process is a bit onerous, will definitely release some of that demand. And Emirates Airlines is also going to be reintroducing flights to Nigeria from the 1st of October this year. So I think the combination of those two will definitely see the beginning of a resurgence of travel between Nigeria and the UAE, something that was very strong before COVID and, has just completely died out in the last 5 years.
Now in the world of sport, Gareth Southgate has stepped down as England manager just days after their 2-1 defeat to Spain in the 2024 European Championship final in Berlin. This marks England's second consecutive loss in the Euro final following their defeat on penalties to Italy 3 years earlier. Southgate, who managed the team for 102 games over 8 years, had his contract set to expire later this year. The Football Association has initiated the process to appoint his successor, Amin, for swift confirmation. They have mentioned the possibility of an interim manager, with Lee Carsley, the under-21 boss, being considered. Several names, including Eddie Howe, Graham Potter, Mauricio Pochettino, Jurgen Klopp and Thomas Tuchel, are reportedly in contention. Kylian Mbappe was formally introduced as a Real Madrid player in Madrid on Tuesday after completing a medical earlier that morning. The French striker. Still talking sports, Mamelodi Sundowns Football Club have launched their highly anticipated home and away kits for the 2024-2025 season. The unveiling of the Rise Rule Repeat kits took place at the club's headquarters, where fans gathered to witness the celebration of Sundowns' rich history and ongoing dominance in South African football. The home kit, brilliant in the club's signature yellow, pays homage to Sundowns' ascent from humble beginnings to becoming the most decorated team in Premier Soccer League history. Adorned with intricate African-inspired patterns featuring crowns symbolizing their 7 consecutive PSL titles, the kit stands as a testament to their unrivaled success on the national stage. The away kit, adorned in striking blue, honors Sundowns' continental conquest, including their triumphs in the CAF Champions League. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. We told you that President Tinubu schedules to meet labor leaders Thursday to discuss the new minimum wage issues. We also told you that Nigeria's government repatriates 190 of its citizens from the United Arab Emirates. Finally, you heard that Rwanda's President Paul Kagame extends his 24-year rule with crushing election victory. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Abo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Dashen. Usman.